Now, and we're joined by ZANU-PF Information Director Farai Marapira, who talks to us from the capital, Harare, this evening. Mr. Marapira, good evening to you, and thank you for your time. Let's start with confirmation of vehicles that are understood to belong to people who are seen as close to President Mnangagwa. Were those vehicles indeed torched on Friday?
Well, that is false. What we simply had was an attempt to market a failing demonstration by people who chose to drive their vehicles and light their vehicles at different parts of the country. No one has lost their property from the people that you are mentioning. No one has had any of their vehicles burnt. That is not the truth of events.
Let's talk about Mr. Blessed Gaza. Has he been expelled as a ZANU-PF member? If so, what are the reasons?
Yes, due process has been followed, and he was expelled from ZANU-PF. As ZANU-PF, we have written codes of conduct. We have a constitution and we've got codes of conduct which guide our interaction as members. And Mr. Gaza was found by the disciplinary committee of ZANU-PF to have fallen short of these requirements as per the constitution and our rules and guidelines. And as such, the disciplinary committee recommended that he be expelled, and summarily, the Politburo upheld this decision, and he was expelled from ZANU-PF.
It is understood that it is as a result of a list that he released on social media that then prompted the torching of this private property, but you're saying that none of that has happened. Are you aware whether there is a close relationship between Mr. Blessed Gaza and the Deputy President of Zimbabwe, or Vice President as he is preferred there, Constantino Chiwenga? Are they close?
Point of correction, you did not mention any of Comrade Gaza's private property. You mentioned vehicles that were burnt, and that is the answer. That is the question I answered. As regards issues of property, yes, we have heard that his property was torched in Sanyati, and it is very unfortunate. That is not the ZANU-PF way. We are a peace-loving party, and we are hoping the police, with their expertise, will bring the culprits to book very soon. As to your second question, which refers to Comrade Gaza having a relationship with our Vice President Chiwenga, I think that is just that's part of the mischief which tries to disalign ZANU-PF. This is not the first time someone has tried to come up with a narrative which seeks to bring disunity and disparity between our party members. We are used to such attacks. We are not really worried about such lies. The vice presidents and the rest of the party are solidly behind President Mnangagwa, and all this hullabaloo is mainly on social media. And the reality of facts is, in Zimbabwe, social media may be loud, but in the real life and in the real streets, it is barely above a whisper.
So you're telling us tonight that there is no tension between President Mnangagwa and his Vice President, Constantino Chiwenga?
Oh yes, definitely, there's no tension. Those are brothers that came from war. Those are brothers that have seen a lot to be where they are today. There is no tension, there is no distrust. There is love and trust between them. So we as ZANU-PF, we laugh when we see some of these headlines on social media because they're not reflective of the truth.
Talk to us about Zimbabwe in general. Is the country on a knife edge, as it is suggested?
Zimbabwe is on a knife edge on social media and in media outlets. Zimbabwe is not on a knife edge anywhere else.
If a protest or protests break out tomorrow, is the country on standby to make sure that nothing goes amiss or there is no violence?
Definitely, that is the purpose of having a security apparatus for any country. People have a right to demonstrate as and within the parameters of the law, because as they exercise their rights, they have a duty not to infringe on the rights of others. And any attempts at picketing which infringe the rights of others will not be tolerated, because there is no one who has got an absolute right over anybody. We are all equal before the law. And as one exercises their law, they must exercise it within the constraints of having a duty towards other people's rights.
If Zimbabwe is on tenterhooks based on social media misinformation, as you put it, why then would President Mnangagwa, in his address to the ZANU-PF Central Committee on Thursday, say that security has been beefed up and no protests would take place on Monday as threatened?
Essentially, if there's a threat of anarchy, there's a threat of doing something outside of the ambit of the law, it is simple due process and due security for any nation to be prepared for such actions. And this, as ZANU-PF, is what we have simply done, and this is what the government has done. There is no one who's got a right to just go into the streets and picket without having followed the due process. The laws regarding such exercises are very clear and known by all. And for anyone to hope and believe that they've got a right to go and demonstrate outside of the ambit of the law is something that is untenable and something that will not be acceptable at any given time or day.
But you still maintain that there is no tension in Zimbabwe?
Definitely not. You need to understand something about our Zimbabwean situation. We are very afflicted by misinformation and disinformation and false flag stories and red herrings. But at the end of the day, we as ZANU-PF know the Zimbabwean character. This is essentially why at every election, ZANU-PF is losing on social media and in every media outlet. But when the time comes for the people to vote, the reality always comes as a shocker. This is because our social media is not based on facts. Our social media is not based on the reality of situations. If you look at this issue of tomorrow's demonstration, it is creating a very, very false impression of a country which is on the edge. No one is on the edge. People are going about their business as usual tomorrow. And I'm certain we will be put right when the situation is revealed.
Final question to you, sir. Zimbabwe's constitution is very clear as to the term limits of the president. Are there plans to change that?
First and foremost, the Constitution was written by people, and the Constitution has got avenues and channels and guidelines on how any issue about it can be amended. There is no issue on the Constitution which is cast in stone except issues maybe which relate to universal human rights. But be that as it may, as ZANU-PF at our conference last year in October, yes, we resolved that we're going to seek a legal way for the president to extend his term. The president has said that he is not willing, but as ZANU-PF, this resolution stands. So in the face of that, no one outside of a legal channel can prevent the legal seeking of a solution. If people are so certain that this is an unpopular opinion and this is an unpopular design, then the Constitution provides the legal channels through which this can succeed. If those legal channels do not succeed, they should not succeed on legal terms and on the legal requirements given by the Constitution, not on anarchy, not on someone believing that because they as individuals have a certain belief, they must ride it roughshod over everyone else.
Yeah.
We are a liberation movement. We are not shaken easily, and we are not scared easily either. And we defend our people because we get our mandate from the people.
Well, let me understand this. If you get a mandate from the people, is it the people who've mandated the ZANU-PF to have the constitution changed so that President Mnangagwa's presidential limit is extended?
Simple logic will state that when people are voted into positions of power by the populace, they're voted into those positions so that they can be representative of the people's wants and needs. And this is exactly how ZANU-PF gets to be in power. So we spoke to our grassroots, and the message cascaded from the grassroots that they wanted the president to continue with the economic development that is taking place, the infrastructural development which is happening in Zimbabwe unprecedentedly. And this is the message that resulted in resolution number 1. So we don't wake up and decide what to do or how to do it. We get our guidance from the people that form our party. We get the guidance from the people that vote for our party. We get the guidance from the people of Zimbabwe.
And the people of Zimbabwe want President Mnangagwa to continue in office. Are there no other candidates within the party?
Well, as a party, we've got a right to decide who we want for how long. And that is neither here nor there for someone who's outside of the party. What is important is for someone outside of the party, if they have any disagreement with what we are planning as a party, to seek a legal channel, not insurrection, not anarchy. That's not it, and that's not something that will ever find itself getting the light of day.
Farai Marapira, let me thank you very much for your time. A director, information director, who is within the ZANU-PF party, the governing party in Zimbabwe.